members of my command staff and leadership that are here today. Thank you so much. Also, Sergeant Lopez, the president of the Harris County Deputies Organization, FOP number 39, as well as Commissioner Adrian Garcia, and former sheriff and good friend and supporter as well. But good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today to discuss an urgent and emerging public safety situation in Harris County. I'm grateful to be joined by the individuals that I just introduced. The cost of hiring and retaining quality peace officers is escalating quickly, and Harris County must act immediately and with urgency to ensure that our sheriff's office and our constables' offices have the deputies we need to patrol our communities, prevent crime, and arrest violent offenders. Before I get too far into this issue, I do want to make certain that I acknowledge the very strong support our county administration and our county commissioners court members, thank you Commissioner Garcia, have provided to our first responders over the many years that I have served as Harris County Sheriff. Since I took office in 2017, our county leaders have worked with me to increase deputy starting pay, and starting pay for our detention officers in the jail is up significantly. These are significant raises that demonstrate our Commissioners Court's commitment to public safety, and I am truly grateful for that. Yet, even with the financial support, Harris County must do even more if we are to remain competitive in the high-stakes contest to hire and retain top candidates into this very difficult profession. This time last year, I brought forward a proposal that would have committed Harris County to increasing the pay for all certified peace officers in the sheriff's and constable's offices by 14% over a 3-year period. At the time, the math showed that this would have been a significant step to keep pace with neighboring jurisdictions. But the proposal wasn't included in this year's budget. As a result, we are now even further behind our counterparts. Earlier this week, I sent a letter to our county administrators and Commissioners Court asking that we make public safety and deputy pay the #1 priority in the upcoming budget cycle. I also recognize that the folks drafting the budget face tough decisions and that other essential services must also be addressed. County roads must be built and maintained, and critical flood mitigation projects must move forward. I get that. We get that. But nothing directly impacts the safety of our community more than the knowledge that a well-trained deputy or constable is nearby and ready to respond when you need them the most. That's why we cannot wait any longer to make an even more significant investment in the men and women who risk their lives each day to protect ours. I look forward to working with all our county leaders and with our FOP number 39 to adopt a budget that shows our deputies how much we value them. This coming week, we're going to be recognizing National Police Week in DC and across the country. Recently, we were at the State Peace Officers Memorial where we were paying tribute and remembering the fallen throughout the years across our state. Last week, we honored our own fallen here in Harris County at our own ceremony. So it was a solemn reminder of the price that many times our frontline deputies and personnel have paid over the course of many years. And so it's important that we recognize the dangers that we put our deputies and constables in every single day for them to answer the call. We prepare and train for the worst, whether it be an industrial accident or incident in our petroleum complex or an active attack situation. We stand ready to answer that call. And I'm very proud of our deputies for answering that call. They've done it over very challenging situations over the last many years, whether it be COVID or Hurricane Harvey, and so many other things, and they've always answered the call. They've delivered for our community, and I know that we have a top-notch agency. And it's urgent now because we see that the disparity just continues to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to be very difficult, as I mentioned, to retain and attract the best and the brightest, and that's what we want here in Harris County, and that's what our profession needs as well. You know, it makes me happy to see that many agencies are increasing their pay. It's a welcome thing. I unapologetically believe that our first responders, public servants, should be the highest paid in any community because they deserve it for the tremendous job that they do. And so I stand shoulder to shoulder with our deputies as well because they are very much deserving. And I'll tell you, this isn't just a new phenomenon here. This has been pretty much the history of the sheriff's office. It's not anything new. For decades, previous administrations, we've always been behind. You know, it's unfair and unfathomable that pretty much since the beginning of time, since the origins of this agency, they've always had to be begging for more and more just to keep up with other agencies. That's unacceptable. It's been unacceptable in the past, and it's unacceptable now. Sheriff's Office deputies, we're a top-notch agency, and they should not have to be begging, so to speak, to try to at least be competitive, have competitive pay with other counterparts. And we're seeing it all across the state where pay's going up. It's the marketplace. It's changed, and that's a good thing. And so we want to make sure that we're working collaboratively with everyone to really make this happen. But we're here just to raise awareness because I think it's an important public safety issue in our community. And I want to make sure that our community knows kind of what's at stake, because this public safety impacts everyone. And I know there's a lot of important investments that need to be made in a robust county such as Harris County. But I would argue that none is more important than public safety. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that when someone calls, that they know that a well-trained deputy or a constable is going to answer the call and it's nearby. And we can't keep falling far and far behind. So briefly in Spanish, estamos aquí esta mañana para colaborar con nuestro comisionador García y los otros de la Corte, igual como con el sargento López y el sindicato, para ver cómo podemos incrementar los sueldos de nuestros oficiales que luchan cada día para proteger a nuestra comunidad. Por mucho tiempo han estado atrás en temas de salario, y es tiempo de que tengamos un salario, una estructura competitiva con otras agencias similares. Nosotros no nos podemos quedar atrás. Queremos tratar de atraer y también mantener los oficiales que tenemos para mejor proteger a la comunidad. Y entonces es algo de mucha urgencia y queremos trabajar con el sindicato, el sargento López y su equipo, el comisionador García y los otros comisionadores también, y la Corte, para ver cómo podemos llegar a un salario que funciona para todos. Entonces vamos a queremos colaborar muy fuerte, y por eso estamos aquí esta mañana para recordarle al público la importancia de este tema, porque si no tenemos salarios competitivos va a ser muy difícil para nosotros mantener los oficiales que hacen ese buen labor cada día. En este momento, at this moment, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Lopez. Sarge.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thanks everybody for being here. Also, we're going to thank the sheriff for his support. You know, he's always expressed his support to the sheriff's deputies. But I just want to hear a little bit currently from our deputies, particularly their feelings. I'm Jose Lopez. I'm the president of the Harris County Deputies Organization, FOP number 39. We stand at a critical moment for public safety in Harris County. This issue isn't just about salaries. It's about protecting our community and making sure our deputies can continue to serve with the support they deserve. But let me be clear. Our deputies are angry, disappointed, and tired. We stand while other agencies are receiving substantial raises. We're being asked to do more with less support, less staffing, and less pay. Yet every day, our deputies still show up. We cover the shifts. We protect this county. We proudly hold the line. If we don't achieve pay parity with the Houston Police Department, we will lose deputies. We will lose years of experience, training, and institutional knowledge. That loss will directly impact response times and the quality of service our residents depend on, putting public safety at risk. The situation is a crisis. The sheriff and I stand united. We are committed to ensuring that the dedication and sacrifice our deputies they're honored with fair and competitive compensation. We cannot allow a mass exodus of talent to weaken this department and to place our communities at risk. We urge the commissioners and the community to recognize the urgency of this issue and to act swiftly. With that, thank you.
Now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Ed Garcia, Precinct 2 Commissioner, again, former sheriff, someone that understands the urgency very clearly.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sergeant Lopez, and thank you to the members of the command staff for your respective leadership. Look, you know, when one signs up to become a law enforcement officer, you don't do it for the money. However, over the years, when I started my career, all you needed was a GED, be 6 foot tall, and weigh at least 200 pounds, and be fearless to walk into a dark alley. Today, many of these individuals have professional degrees. They could be in any other marketplace, dedicating their lives, yet they are on the streets of Harris County. They are still running into dark alleys. They are risking their lives. They are bringing closure as much as possible to crime victims and the tragedy that they're dealing with. They are in some of the most difficult and tragic circumstances. And during natural disasters, they, for the most part, relieve themselves of those gun belts and put on diver equipment to go into high water circumstances and to rescue people. I remember seeing the sheriff in a kayak rescuing people. They do what others won't do, can't do, or run away from. And so I think it is absolutely fair that we work to get the sheriff's office to a much more competitive place. Because the sheriff is absolutely correct. We will face an exodus to the most highest paying market opportunity in the area. And who is to blame them for that? You know, when I was sheriff, I too proposed, I think it was about a 14% multi-year proposal. It too was not accepted. But over my years, I've seen where we can do better, and we need to do better. You know, and at current, we're in a bit of a debate, if you will, with the state legislature, who is constructing and moving a bill, potentially, that could take Harris County dollars and give them to another city. Why can't we keep that money and invest it into our sheriff's deputies and constables? It makes sense. So if that money is good to be given to another government so that they can pay law enforcement officers, we ought to be able to do the same thing. And so I think there's opportunities for us to support the sheriff, support the deputies organization in something that has been all too elusive for years. The sheriff has said it well. This has been a chronic history of the Harris County Sheriff's Office. And we have told employees that look to your pension. That's where the real money is at. So just be happy, work, and one day you'll be able to enjoy your pension. But this job is dangerous. Some may never get to that point to be able to enjoy that pension. Some may hurt themselves significantly where that pension goes to medical care or rehabilitation services. We need to pay our men and women a competitive rate so that they know that they are honored, respected, and supported here in Harris County. Thank you.
Jason, you can open the door a little bit too low. Well said by everyone. Any questions?
Can you talk about the starting salary or the pay for Harris County Sheriff's deputies, and how does that compare to other agencies?
Yeah, we're way behind. Sergeant, want to take that? Disparity?
Yeah. So the current disparity is if the HPD's proposed raises is approved is $24,000 for beginning police officer in the for the Houston Police Department. And again, that's a base pay. We include the HPD's shift differential and other incentives that they have. It's even greater than that.
¿Cuál es el mensaje que tienen hoy ahora que están acompañados con el alguacil? Ayer estuvieron en la Corte de Comisionados ese grupo de agentes. Hoy están con el alguacil, que es una unión tan importante para presentar pues esta intención que tienen para buscar que los agentes se queden. ¿Cómo se sienten de tener también el apoyo del alguacil en esto?
Nos sentemos respaldados. Y este es el respaldo que necesitamos para que juntos podamos obtener lo que todos estamos pidiendo. Y esto es nomás que se reconozca y que nos pongan en el mismo nivel que las otras agencias de nuestros alrededores actualmente están pagando. So, definitivamente el respaldo es muy bien aceptado, es muy bien sentido, y juntos es la manera que vamos a lograr lo que necesitamos.
¿Nos pudiera decir un poco en español lo que nos dijo en inglés, de cuáles serían las consecuencias de esta diferencia salarial?
Sí, claro que sí. El temor que tenemos es de que si el Houston Police Department acepta los salarios que han propuesto, la diferencia va a ser de $24,000. So, lo que tememos es de que nuestros oficiales se vayan, pues a ir al departamento del Houston Police y vamos a perder oficiales que necesitamos que estén con nosotros, que necesitamos que estén patrullando el condado de Harris. So, podemos perder muchos oficiales a esa agencia. Esa agencia actualmente va a tener 1,200 posiciones dispuestas que tienen que llenar.
Can you clarify what the starting pay is for the sheriff's office? What is the starting pay for a deputy?
It is, let me get it because,
So we
yeah,
have the right number.
yeah.
Yeah.
What was,
He's going to pull it up so we can have the right number.
it's
Okay.
60, well,
Yeah.
we'll get it because,
Yeah. What I wanted to just add to, because I know often, obviously the Houston Police, and that was my starting agency when I first began. But this isn't just about HPD. I'm very happy for them. We support them. This is much greater. This is, we're losing people already, even with the current scale, even without those pay raises going into effect. We're losing people to ISD police departments, other smaller agencies, even to the state. So the gap just continues to widen, and nowadays in the marketplace, as the commissioner said, is we can't blame them if they're going to seek higher pay for their families and for themselves, for the risks that they have to put every single day. Law enforcement is one of those professions where there's such a higher incidence of depression, of suicide compared to others. So the hazards around the job and shift work are very challenging. And as he said, they could go to the marketplace is much more diverse and evolving over time, and so that's why the urgency just continues to become greater and greater. Did you have the number? Yeah.
the starting pay is $57,000. Yes, ma'am.
And other departments around our area, ISDs, are getting paid more.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know could you give us an example of another department that is paying more?
I think it's about to be about 84 for the Houston Police Department
84.
starting. Yeah, approximately. We'll get the
Okay.
exact numbers.
Okay, so can you kind of talk about, Sheriff, can you give us, what did you propose to the commissioners for? Like, what are you asking for? How much percentage are you asking for your department?
Yeah, I think we're going to delve into those talks in earnest. The reason right now that the timing is important, obviously, we're seeing in the backdrop of Houston Police, as part of their meet and confer process, just came up with a proposed agreement that has to still be voted on. But because we're entering our budget cycle, which differs from the city, so this is the time, and the timing is right, so for us to have these discussions. We're going to work closely with the deputies organization and with Commissioners Court, County Administrator as well, so we could see what that pay should be. But we should no longer be chasing any agency as we've done historically. The time's now to let's make this right. Let's correct the wrongs in pay over many decades now. For various reasons. Let's make it happen. Now, an exact number, I don't want to say simply because that could be evolving, right? HPD's agreement has to be paid, voted on by both their members as well as City Council next week. And so that still has to be finalized. And then we want to be clear on our numbers as well and work with the county administration to see where they're at. How do we make this? But it has to be a bold move. And we have to be in the ballpark because we can't continue to piecemeal this as we have historically and we have as well. You know, we've worked with our county leaders in terms of understanding the impacts of Harvey, COVID, and other things, but we can't be piecemealing this now. We need a significant investment to at least be in the ballpark, if not pay parity, and work on that very, very aggressively is our hope.
In the past year, if you had to take a guess, how many deputies would you say you've lost to other departments because of the pay?
I don't have an exact number. I mean, because they don't always necessarily say I'm leaving because, hey, you know, they leave for different reasons. But we're definitely seeing a trend of moving because we lost them to the ISDs, the independent school districts. We've lost them to other agencies, to DPS, for example, because again, the pay is much better. Other reasons too. It's not just one thing, but we are seeing a trend, and we know just it's a gap too wide for our pay to remain where it's at, even with incremental. Like I was saying, I proposed a pretty good pay raise it would have been over a 3-year, and it would have already been outside the, you know, not even competitive. So you know, here we are again, but we know we're going to just continue to lose more. It's a reality of a marketplace when there's a gap so wide. If it's in the ballpark, then we at least want to be a serious choice. If somebody's thinking, should I go to another agency? Yeah, I might get just a little bit, but I really enjoy my home agency. We want to make it difficult. Right now, we're about to make it very easily for many to seriously consider leaving, and we can't be in limbo like that. You know, we need to make sure that this is their agency of choice, not only now, but we don't want to get folks that aren't the best for this profession because they're all going to the best agencies and we're kind of receiving the lower tier. I want better for my community. I live here as well. I want to make sure that we're attracting the best and the brightest to this agency that I love and have pride for, but we have to be competitive. And right now, sadly, we're falling behind. You know, we're woefully behind.
Algo así le está preocupado de que pueda ocurrir una crisis, un éxodo de agentes que se vayan a ir si en un mes y medio no se toma una decisión sobre los salarios.
Sí, pues tiene que haber una decisión. Vamos a trabajar de una manera de cooperación con todos para tratar de llegar a esto. Como nos da mucho gusto tener el apoyo del comisionador García, que todos debemos estar en conjunto en este tema, ¿no? Sabemos que no es fácil, entendemos eso, no es algo simple que se puede hacer, pero todos deben de estar de acuerdo que nuestros oficiales merecen mejor. Y aunque no piensan eso, es la realidad cuando ven el mercado que otras agencias se están sacando mucho más. Y si no mejoramos el sueldo, sí se van a ir y vamos a quedar aún más atrás y no realmente poder responder al crisis que tú estás diario en la escena y miras todos los crímenes que pasan y la gente que quiere seguridad.
Claro. Comisionado García, ¿puede decir algo también en referencia al tema de cómo podrían buscar ese dinero, esos fondos para poder pagarles lo que merecen los agentes?
Pues como sabes, ahorita estamos discutiendo que la ciudad de Houston está tratando de acudir a millones de dólares del sistema de transporte del condado. Este dinero, si la ciudad de Houston se lo puede aplicar a los salarios de oficiales y bomberos, ¿por qué nosotros no? Entonces, déjanos el dinero para que lo podamos invertir en nuestros elementos. The question was, how we're going to, where we're going to get the money, how we're going to do this. And as I mentioned earlier, the city of Houston is trying to get toll road money that, hey, if it's good for the city of Houston to invest into public safety, it should be good for us to do the same thing. And so I would much rather see that money stay in the Harris County family, stay in the system, and apply it to our deputies across the board to do what we can to make the goal of the deputies organization and the sheriff a reality. And I want to touch one other thing. As the sheriff has mentioned a couple of times, that deputies are leaving to smaller agencies. They're remaining within the career of law enforcement. But this sheriff's office, in times, they're leaving because of the demand that they're having to face on any given day or night. The pressure of responding to calls. They're going to agencies that don't have a backlog of calls, don't have a backlog of investigations to handle, don't have a 5 million constituency to respond to. They're leaving to agencies that are paying comparable but are providing less stress to the individual. And then when you see deputies, when you leave here, pay attention, because you're probably going to see a deputy directing traffic somewhere. You may walk into a restaurant and see a deputy working security there. That should be an option. It should not be a necessity. But that is what many deputies are doing to make ends meet for their respective families.
I know that the mayor has campaigned a lot, saying that public safety and making sure the police department gets a pay raise. So what is your message to the county judge, Lena Hidalgo? What do you want her to know?
So I can't speak for the judge. I think our position has been very clear. We want to work collaboratively. To us, we understand that there's a lot of different priorities and needs, but you know, I've been through a budget process before during my time as Mayor Pro Tem and as a council member with the City of Houston, and it's important for everyone to have to really look and make some tough choices sometimes. And to me, you always start with what are priorities, and to me, the key priorities in any jurisdiction, this is universal, it's always going to be public safety and infrastructure and solid waste and those type of essential services. And so it's not directed at any one person. I think it's just in general that as they embark on the budget process, that they be thoughtful and that they do their due diligence, and to see maybe there's some areas that are no longer as needed. Maybe there could be some realignment, reimagining of certain areas. To find efficiencies. Everybody's doing that, from the federal government all the way to local government. And I do think that public safety should always be number one. We see in polling, general polling, that's always a top issue for most constituents in the community. And we just know that it's something that citizens and residents expect and want and deserve every single day. So I know they have a tough job. I'm sure they'll attack it in the best way possible. Some other potential funding sources have been mentioned, and so instead of redirecting them somewhere else, let's keep them here in Harris County to invest in critical services and critical staffing that belong here. It's not like we're made whole and that money could be diverted. So we need it right here. And so again, I mean, we're already preparing for hurricane season. You know, when there's industrial incidents, you've been out there, we're out there. We have folks that are going into harm's way. We have some that have lost their life because they went into industrial incidents. You know, and so, again, I mean, I'm just tired of historically, even preceding me, that there's no reason that deputies always have had to again, maybe it's literally the right word, beg for better salaries compared to other counterparts. And I was asking for some historical knowledge, and everybody says, yeah, we've always kind of been chasing others, if you will. It was just maybe a brief moment when they got close, and then the gaps have just continued and continued. That's inexcusable. We're a 21st century leading agency, and I think we have the support of our community. Nationally, we're viewed in a very positive light, and we want to maintain that, but it costs money. And you want to really have the best and the brightest, because we expect a lot out of them. We're going to hold them accountable when they do wrong. It's one of the only professions that if you make a mistake, you could be indicted, you could be convicted, you could potentially go to jail if you do something wrong. It's a lot at stake. The public scrutiny is very high. That's why there's a lot of challenges, depression and so many other things that impact this. Life expectancy is usually much lower for a peace officer than other professions. So we understand the complexities of this. And so I just hope that our county leaders and others and us working collaboratively, we want to make sure we're all rowing in the same direction. Say, let's get something done. You know, I really believe we can. Let's start from that point of it can be done and it will be done. And so we're optimistic. We're going to work together. And so that's the hope.
Commissioner Garcia, just one question about the money. Does Commissioner Court, do they have the authority to find the money? I mean, raise taxes or do anything to get money?
Yep. It's a question, and this is something that I would ask the deputies organization. That if it comes down to raising taxes, I would ask the deputies organization to be a loud voice in encouraging property taxpayers to be willing to pay up for public safety. We have seen that done in the past. When I was like the sheriff on city council, we had a ref cap. But Mayor White and council went to the voters to ask them to lift the ref cap, and they approved it. We were able to get about $90 million more to the city for public safety services. So there are ways. Some of the ways are going to be painful, but this is what this it requires. We're not going to get to a good place without making some tough decisions, and so we have to be collectively working to make sure that we're communicating to our constituents that it requires someone in a patrol car to help us keep this county safe.
The reason why I'm asking you, because it seemed in Commissioner's Court yesterday, everybody agreed the officers should make more money. So the question, why aren't they making more money? What needs to happen? Do we need to go back to the voters and ask? Or, maybe you answered it, but.
Yeah. Look, we're about to get into the budget process, and so that's where I'm looking to work with the deputies organization to try to construct a package that is acceptable to everyone and helps the sheriff achieve his goals of retention and professionalism. So we're about to get into that, and this is very timely to make sure that we begin that process now and work together to get to a place where we can help our deputies get to a more competitive place than they are right now. The sheriff has made his pitch to raise salaries over a multi-year period. That's a good strategy. But one thing that has made things a little harder for us is when the state steps in and takes away local control. When the state passes a bill that says, whenever you set law enforcement's budget, not that you want to defund, but you have to adjust during economic times, it makes it difficult because a health department is important during a pandemic. A flood control district is important during natural disasters. We care about libraries because we care about the education of our children. So there's a lot of difficult decisions that have to be made. But at the end of the day, if someone's got a gun in your face, a knife to your throat, to your wife, your children, you want somebody in a uniform showing up to save them.
¿Pudiera decir en español de dónde pudieran obtener esos fondos para hacer esta?
Tenemos diferentes modos para poder llegar hasta acudir los recursos para llegar a un punto que es mucho más mejor para los elementos. Uno de ellos es para aumentar los impuestos de los residentes del condado. Entonces, le suplico a los elementos del sargento López que vamos a necesitar la voz de ellos para pedirle a los residentes que deben de aumentar sus impuestos para dedicarlos a los salarios de los elementos. Ese es un modo. Otro es, como mencionó el alguacil, podemos buscar dentro del gobierno ahorita para ver dónde hay dinero que se puede ajustar a los salarios de los elementos. Hay diferentes modos, pero una de las cosas que llega a ser las decisiones un poco difícil es cuando la legislatura del Estado entra y nos quita el control de poder manejar nuestros recursos financieros, y eso nos llega a batallar para poder llegar a mejores decisiones. Pero yo estoy ahorita al punto que vamos a entrar a la época de preparar el presupuesto del condado para el próximo año. Ya estamos llegando a ese punto. Entonces, esta conversación es muy clave para trabajar con sargento López y sus miembros, el alguacil, para comenzar el proceso para hacer una decisión para el nuevo presupuesto del condado.
Any last questions?
You was going to add something real quick, and then we'll.
That from the sheriff's deputies organization, we encourage the commissioners to perhaps look at other ways where the money can come from besides having to raise taxes.
What are some other ways? What are your suggestions? What do you think could do to fix this problem?
I think the suggestions we'll come up with once we start working collaborative, and then, together we'll see what we'll come up with.
Are there any plans to meet with lawmakers to try to get more money? I'm just trying to think of some ways that could help. I know that everything's so tight to try to generate more money for the sheriff's office. I mean, the HPD is supposedly getting it from this tollway money. Why can't we split it? Is that been a conversation?
I think that's a better question for the commissioner that I'm not going to speak on.
Yeah,
or the
well,
sheriff.
look, I think it's already been touched on. We don't have, there's not a magic formula, okay? It's a large gap. If it was a small thing, money could be found much easier. These are tough policy and governing issues that have to be decided, and they're not going to be decided here from the podium. I mean, obviously, it's a big budget that goes to, there's already a lot of investment in public safety. We understand that public safety is a large ecosystem of many things, the courts, so many other aspects, but it's again about doing priorities, and about emphasizing where do we redirect monies from other areas. It's not just necessarily raising taxes or anything, and that's not what we're up here. Anybody say, I want to be very clear. No one's saying that's the answer to this, okay? It's a number. What we're saying is let's look at everything and let's work diligently, aggressively, and intentionally to get this done. And then we could get more clarity on what, that's what the budget process is, to construct your budget from one year to the next and say where are the priorities of the county, and then where can we better invest, and whether it be state dollars or toll road dollars that can go to public safety at a greater clip. These are all considerations that have to be looked at. We just don't have every single number and every line item right here to obviously look at everything. It's a process, but we look forward to engaging in that, to making those tough decisions of where monies could be found, and it's very doable. I really believe it's doable. It's going to take a lot of work.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.